Hi, I'm Andrea, and I'll be explaining why orcas are dying in the Puget Sound.
The Puget Sound is a sound on the northwestern coast of Washington state. The food chain here starts with the producers, the phytoplankton, which are eaten by the zooplankton, which are eaten by the herring, which are eaten by the salmon, which are eaten by the orca and the baby orca. Ecosystems throughout the world are affected by bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Bioaccumulation is the buildup of a substance in organisms in a hierarchical ecosystem, and biomagnification occurs at every trophic level, ascending with 10 times the amount of the substance at each level. The producers always have the highest number of individual organisms because they require very little energy to survive, so there are, say, 10,000 in a sample ecosystem. They only receive about 1 part per million of the substance, and this is where biomagnification comes in. When the zooplankton eat the phytoplankton, they must eat 10 of them to get sufficient amounts of energy, and this passes along only 1 part per million from each phytoplankton, giving the zooplankton 10 parts per million. The same thing happens with the herring, but now it is 100 parts per million because they have eaten 10 zooplankton. This continues all the way up through the apex predators, the orcas, so that they end up having 10,000 parts per million and their babies 100,000 parts per million because they receive it from their parents as well. So what are these substances in the Puget Sound? There's one group of chemicals in particular that has been wreaking havoc since the 1950s, when Boeing started producing planes more often in the Seattle area. These chemicals are called PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. They are introduced to the environment from electrical equipment and are washed into the ocean with the copious amounts of rain in the Pacific Northwest. But what do PCBs do? PCBs mimic hormones, causing the body to invoke the same reaction, so with the high concentrations, the processes happen much faster and more often. This means that they are endocrine disruptors. This causes fetal development problems and incorrect gamete formation, but they are also carcinogens, which means that they cause cancer. This combination of effects leads to extremely weak immune systems. The liver, which filters out the toxins, becomes cancerous very quickly and works less efficiently, so they send more chemicals directly into the baby's milk. On top of all these harmful effects, whatever drugs we take gets to them through the waterways. That includes birth control, and since we are both mammals, the drug has the same effect. The orca population is being greatly reduced because of the lack of food and the massive amounts of toxic chemicals that they are ingesting.
So, bioaccumulation affects us all. We can combat this process by creating better water filters and more environmentally friendly chemicals, along with more advanced medical techniques to treat the effects of these chemicals.